All right. For our audience at home, could you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your wonderful film?
Thank you. I'm Kaye Cleave, and I'm a writer and director and co-director and producer of Catherine's Kindergarten.
And I am James Daggett, also co-director and editor and cinematographer for Catherine's Kindergarten.
Tell us a little bit about your film for our audiences that have not seen your film yet.
Just the snapshot. It's about a mother's journey, a mother who loses her only child, and it's her journey to heal. And there's really the two journeys. One is the physical journey to climb a mountain to open a school in her daughter's name in Nepal. And then the other part of the journey is the mother's emotional journey of healing. And those two journeys are interwoven.
So, Kaye and James, where did you guys meet, and how did you guys team up for this wonderful documentary?
James?
Yeah, so our families were actually going up to Yosemite every summer. I'm from the San Francisco area. Kaye is from Australia, but was spending half the year in that area. Anywho, we got to know each other that way. We met, I think, and I was about 14. And that was, I was slowly developing an interest in film, particularly documentary film, but I had actually sort of fallen off or fallen out of that world for a bit, just being a bit overwhelmed at the industry and the general, just sort of so much amazing work already being made. How could I make anything that would stand up to it? And then Kaye, she emailed me while I was teaching abroad in Vietnam. She was like, would you like to come to Nepal and film me opening a school in my daughter's name? And that's how it started.
So, Kaye, what compelled you to email James and say, hey, would come on this journey with me? Because you're opening yourself up, you're becoming very vulnerable in front of the camera. So tell me a little bit about that process of writing the email and then deciding to do this and then writing the email.
Thanks. Great question. I'd already gone up to the school a year prior to, or 2 years, or 1 year prior to that, to choose the site to build the school. So I'd raised the money. I'd met a young man from Nepal. We connected, and I decided to build this school, fund this school. So I went up there to choose the site, and it's such a grueling journey. It's, you have to fly in a little plane, and then you go on this incredibly, the film only shows part of the terror of the journey of zipping around mountainous roads. And then you get to the village and you sleep on a mud floor on no electricity, no running water. It was tough. And I was 67, I think, at the time. So I did it, and I said, whew, I survived. And I thought, that's it. And I told many people I'm not going up again, even though I'm very committed to supporting the school for the rest of my life, obviously. But I thought, that's it. They can build the school. But Prakash was really keen, excuse me, to come when the school was built to officially open it. It was a very big deal for the villagers, and, education is something they value so highly. So Prakash, I wanted to support him. So I thought, well, if I'm going to go again, I didn't know if I'd even survive the journey, but it felt such a tough journey. I thought, I wonder if I know someone who could just film it for my own, when I'm an old woman sitting in a rocking chair, I can look at this journey I made and think, enjoy it. So that was really my thought process. And it came to mind, I knew James was interested in filming, and I knew he'd gone to, film school. So I sent him an email and just thought, well, see what happens. And I said, I'll pay your way, and all you have to do is film, nothing else. And he said, sure. And I had no idea if he was a, talented filmmaker, which he really is. It's fabulous. But he was also, it was a really good working relationship. where James would hold steady when I would, veer off. And I trusted him very much. And it just seemed to, it worked really well from my perspective.
James, how do you prepare for a shoot like that? I mean, you're basically having to carry everything you will need and you would anticipate to need on this shoot. So how, as a documentary filmmaker, how do you prepare for this shoot?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I suppose like a big part of it was, weirdly enough, I had been shooting for work. I'd been shooting weddings, which the general idea there is that you are carrying everything with you and you're setting up very fast and you're ready for anything. But what I had gone to school for was documentary filmmaking, and what there's certainly like different flavors of documentary, and this I sort of viewed as like, okay, well, this is an opportunity to, film a lot of sort of like out in the world / in the mountains, like use the beautiful scenery and the gorgeous colors and just all the amazing stuff that's happening in Nepal, like use that as the backdrop, and then just kind of follow Kaye around. Not really, we didn't really, like, we did go to certain places with forethought and we were like, okay, we're going to go here and shoot, but it was all pretty much just like on the spot, trying to figure out the best sort of way to, capture all that was going on. So I guess it's sort of like guerrilla shooting. We were like, okay, let's do an interview in the hotel room, or let's do an interview in the car when we're stuck on the side of a mountain, because we know that there are, or I wanted to like document not just, the actions that were taking place, but, continually check in with Kaye and be like, what's going on inside of your head? Please regale us. This is an insane journey that we're going on. So yeah, I brought cameras that I could carry easily and a tripod that wasn't too big. It was
Or too
all
heavy.
not too heavy, just very small scale, one person, one man setup.
So after the shoot, you guys get back to your respective homes. The editing process starts. So how does, I know Kaye is on the other side of the world from you, James. So how did you guys edit this remotely and, collaborate together?
Well, I'll start. We thought, when we came back and we looked at all the the spectacular photography in Nepal, we thought, we've got this really good film. So we had a few close friends. I live half the year in California, so we had some close friends there and filmmakers, and we said, could we run this by you and get feedback? And we did, and they were very kind, but we had no backstory. There was nothing about Catherine. It was just this woman climbing a mountain that we thought, this is terrific. So we then started to learn. It was very much boot camp, how to do a documentary. And so that's when, a lot of the weaving of the backstory. So I had to do filming here in Australia, which is where I raised my daughter. And we also, when I did get back to San Francisco, we did filming there because that's the new life I have. And then we had the Nepal. So it was really, just doing it a lot by gut sense and trying to find what is the story here. And, what do we want to say? And for me, there's been, throughout that process, a lot of ethical grappling with, it feels such a big responsibility to tell a story of people like my daughter who hasn't got a voice. And I know she would say, oh, that didn't happen like that, Mum, or I don't want you to say that. And so there was, for me, a lot of emotional and lots of grappling with that. And I just really trusted and relied on James a lot with that too. And for him to hold steady, which is really what he did for me.
So he was your rock.
Absolutely. And, he was 26 and I was 68 at the time. And it's a terrific working collaboration. I'd love to work with him again on something.
I think just to respond to that, vice versa, great working. I've loved working with Kaye. I think what's really, really nice is that even though, we didn't necessarily know what we were doing, there was always a drive to tell this story. It needed to be told. And Kaye, the whole time, Kaye's just been pushing and always taking feedback from everywhere, never being, too uppity to take criticism. She's just been constantly the whole time adapting and being like, what is the best way to tell this story? So I think having that passion and also like flexibility / just honesty in the pursuit of getting this on film or telling the story was great for me as a first-time filmmaker to be involved in that, because I could sort of be like, okay, well, this is how we can this is one avenue, but there was always like a driving force with Kaye. So I appreciate that very much in a collaborator.
Awesome. Kaye, I want to honor your daughter. So tell me about Catherine. Tell our audience about Catherine, what you want the world to know about her.
Oh, thanks, Dev. Well, firstly, I'm thrilled that people have got to know Catherine through the movie. And one of the things, when you lose a loved one, there's this fear that they'll be forgotten, or, they won't be honored, their life. I wanted Catherine's life to matter, and I wanted people to know her. And she was an incredibly sassy young woman, and with very passionate about. She chose to be a vegetarian at 11 because of the cruelty towards animals, and she never ate meat after that ever. She was just a fierce, deeply honest young woman, and our relationship was very close and sparky, as mother-daughters are. And so I think from the feedback I've had, her, essence is really, it comes across, and that there's so much more to the story, and there's always many versions of the story as well. But when things got cut, I thought, oh no, I wanted that in. But of course, it was all about, how's the best way to tell this story? And I really wanted to honor my daughter, but I wanted it to be accessible to anyone, who's hurting, who's whether it's a loss or trauma or addiction, anything that, and the truth is we're all flawed, struggling human beings. It's hard to be human. And so this is the film I would have liked to have seen when my daughter died. First off, it's like, give me a roadmap, give me some hope that there is a life after this.
If you don't mind me asking, Kaye, how are you doing?
Oh, good. It's been over 20 years, and it's a way of processing. I hold this now, and that's what the movie really says at the end, is I've learned to hold the joy and the grief of it, and I'm like everybody else, where I have days where everything sucks. And but I feel very close to my daughter, and there's a surrendering that it is what it is. And for many years I was so angry at the universe or whatever that this had happened, and there's an incredible freedom when you really do process something to be able to live with it. And I feel that that's what I can do now.
James, you're a first-time filmmaker, teaming up with Kaye. What an awesome responsibility to have to honor her daughter and keep her daughter's memory alive. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about, after the shooting was done, at the end of the day, the batteries were on the chargers, and talk to me about this awesome responsibility about, honoring Kaye's daughter and keeping her memory alive. Because right out the bat, you had to do it. I mean, this is something big. It's not like you're doing a documentary on Disneyland or or Slinkies or whatever.
I think absolutely. That's a great question. I think probably one thing that did sort of help was getting to know over the course of developing it from like, okay, here's the journey in Nepal up the mountain. Having gone on that journey, I think helped. It was real. Like I was like, wow, we've already done we've already shot the part of this film that is like in one way the most difficult part, which was physically and emotionally. Like I think that coffee breakdown scene, the moment of rawness, really for me, that's the moment where both like Kaye and I's working relationship like became solidified, but also like I sort of like just kind of emotionally felt like what this could be as a film. Like I was just like, oh my goodness, like this is something very honest, very personal. And I now want to know who Catherine is. So it was a long process, and there is so much that I don't know, but I got, as I hope the audience gets to know Catherine over the course of the film and hopefully fall in love with her. I got to do that in a very much longer sort of months and months and months and months and months, years even, of getting to know this person who is a huge part of this film. I think what really helped was that Kaye has been, working on writing about her daughter, telling stories about her daughter, and keeping her daughter alive. So there is already, from Kaye's side, like a lot of effort and love that has gone into, continuing to tell the world about Catherine. I fell in love both with Catherine and also just hearing Kaye talk about Catherine and getting to know all of these personal details that really bring a person to life. So in terms of like just honoring that, I think that the way that I listened to Kaye talk about Catherine helped me figure out how we should talk about Catherine in the film. And yeah, she's just from everything that I know, she was just an electric and warm and interesting and vibrant person. So it wasn't hard. And there's so much documentation since Kaye, they wrote letters, they had notes, they had all sorts of just a trove of personal history that Kaye had kept safe. So that helped.
And this film will be around forever and ever and ever. So the world will get to know Catherine long after we're gone. Kaye, last question here. Two things. What is the website for the film? But also, two, most importantly, equally importantly, is how can we support the school? Do they have a website where we can donate money or time? Our audience wants to know that.
Thank you, Dev. The website link is Catherine's, all lowercase with an S, no apostrophe, /kindergarten.com. And if you go there on it shows how you can support the school. So it's Impact Schools in Nepal, but my website has a way to, there's all sorts of ways to donate. And of course, at the moment, Nepal's having a tough time with COVID and the children, the thing for me, getting to know Prakash, I know that every dollar goes to the school. And that's so it's a very personal relationship. I support one of the little girls up there, and of course I'm on the board of Impact Schools, and it's my lifelong commitment. But it'd be fabulous for other people to be able to donate in any way they want.
James and Kaye, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us here in Texas. And may Catherine's memory be a blessing always, and may this film project that and let her memory live on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dev.
Thank you so much.